Good morning, students, and welcome back to the next session of Artificial Intelligence. So, in the previous class, as I already discussed on the logic which is propositional logics, and we have discussed some of the limitations of propositional logics. So, in that, I have said you some of the examples that this kind of statements will not be performed by propositional logics. So, in order to overcome such problem, like this all boys are smart, let us consider here in this statement you can find out that all represents for all the boys. So here it won't provides either true or false. So that is the reason why either if you're using the term all or some, in that sense the propositional logic doesn't works here. So in order to overcome that, the next logic is about first order logic. So this first order logic basically is a predicate logic. You can also term this as first order predicate logic, or simply you can term this as predicate logic. So what this logic will deals about that, you know that propositional logic will just concentrate on the facts. It won't perform on any other factor. That means simple statements will only be considered in propositional logics, and that facts remains either in true or false. But apart from that, first order logic is like a natural language, assumes in a world where it contains objects, where it contains relations, and where it contains functions. That means apart from the facts, what propositional logic performs, apart from that, it also behaves, the first order logic will also consider these three things. Okay, so now if I say objects, like if I take a person, particular person, like there are here you can see some of the examples are there. Color is also becomes an object at some moment of time. People's houses, all of these are what the examples that also consider in first order logic. And the relation are something apart where it connects multiple objects among themselves. So relations are something which are connecting objects. It can have a single object in one relation. It can have more than one object. So that's why this relation also it focuses on that. Not only objects and relations, it also focuses on the functions. So the functions we will be seeing here is just given some functions which returns always a value. So here it returns, here there are examples which I have given here. So all of this will be considered as a part of first order logic. Now as I said you that objects it behaves. So here objects means any constant value, like a name of a person, right, or any value will come under constants. So these constants are actually here objects. Now what we are using, the second term is what? Predicates. Here why the term is called predicate logic? Because we are using predicates here. Predicates means we are using relations. You can see in the second part, in relations, the relations are about to connect between two objects or more than multiple objects. So here for example brother, if I say A is a brother of B, now I can write as brother of A comma B. Now this is one predicate which links two objects. What is that object A and object B? So you can say that A is a brother of B. Okay, you cannot term this as B is a brother of A. Of course it is valid, but the way of representation and the pronunciation will be in a way in the order of arguments which have been taken over here. So the arguments here are objects, and brother is what? The relation which relates two objects here. So in this way, this is how the predicate forms over here. So such things will not be performed by propositional logics. Not only this, we may have some functions like we take in square root or any other some functions will be considered over here. Now what is the next thing is it also focuses on the variables. Variables here are in order to represent particular object, and in order to link there we use variables. Okay, anyhow with examples when I'll show you, you will come to know what are these variables and why these variables are being used in first order logic. Apart from that, it also takes connectives which will be taken by propositional logic as well. That means these connectives are being used in order to form complex statements or sentence, right? So here also in order to connect atomic sentences, we are using this connective so that to make as complex sentence. Okay, or complex statements. Now again we are using equality here apart from that, and the main thing what we are using here is very important. We are using quantifiers, okay, which quantifies that how much we are taking. Okay, so that is why the first quantifier, this is your universal quantifier and this is your existential quantifier. Okay, universal quantifier means you have to take, if I am taking for all some persons, right, for all statements if I am using, then I should use universal quantifier. And if I am using at least for one, or it can be more than one, or for some values, then I can use existential quantifiers. Okay, so these are just what the some of the things are, what you can say the quantifiers which are being used in first order logic. So what is this? Universal quantifier, and this is existential quantifier. Now as I said you that the same thing again here it is. Okay, now what we are terming now, what is the logical part here, right? What we are focusing is what exists in the world should be get truth. So PL, that means propositional logic, which we have previously discussed, it holds all the facts. Okay, facts hold, or it does not hold some facts. Okay, and the facts which holds are what the basic facts. Okay, which are something like which are declarative statements it holds. But in first order logics, what happens, it takes objects and in that objects it relates between in order to have a relation between objects, we are taking relations among them. Okay, so that's why if I go for propositional logic, it just focuses on facts, whereas if I go for first order logic, I have to know about the facts, also I need to know objects and the relations which connects among different objects. So anyhow it will give you either true or false or unknown values. Okay, and now I'm not focusing much on this one because our concern is on just first order logic right now. Now the syntax, see here, as I said you that objects means here constants value has to be taken, right? So that objects are here called as constant symbols. Like the name of a person or any value is what your object, and which are called as termed as constant symbols. What they are termed as? Constant symbol. Similarly, we have predicate symbol as well, but this predicate symbol are used for relations. Like there is a predicate called that Richard is the brother of John. Okay, now this Richard and John are what? Are objects, and among two objects there is a relation called brother which connects both of them. Okay, so that is why, so this relation, so what is that? Brother is what? A relation, and which relation is called as which symbol? Predicate symbol. Okay, so brother is a predicate symbol and Richard and John are constant symbol. Similarly, we have a relation called greater than, and these are what? The numbers. So now 3 and 2 are what? The constant symbols, and greater than, that means 3 is greater than 2. Okay, you cannot term this as 2 is greater than 3. Why? Because if you term this as, syntactically is also incorrect and semantically also it is incorrect. That means you have to think in that way. That means the first value is what? 3 here. So 3 is greater than 2. You have to take in that way. You should not take the second argument as first, and you should not take the first argument as last. You have to take the first argument as first, that is 3 is greater than 2. So now greater than is what? Your predicate symbol, and 3 and 2 are what? Constant symbol. Similarly, we have a function symbol as well. In that function symbol, whenever if I'm using any function, let us assume I'm using square root as a name of function. So now sqrt is what? My function symbol. What is this? Function symbol. Okay. So this is how regarding the symbols which are being used. So you can term that symbols as constant symbols, predicate symbols, and function symbols. Constant symbols are objects, predicate symbols are relations, and function symbols are simply functions. Now we will be discussing on the relations. See, relations are what? Are called as properties of, okay, properties of an object. Okay, for example, if we just have a single object called ball. Ball is an object. What is the property of the ball? The ball is round in shape, right? So now the property here is what? A relation. So you can take, if you have a single object, now ball is what? What is ball now? Ball is an object, and round is what? A property. Similarly, if I'm taking 7, 7 is what? What it is? You can term this as, I just said you, constant symbol, and this constant symbol means here object, and now prime is a property that 7 is a prime number. So that means if you can take in this way. Also, if you have, for example, n-array relations. Okay, n-array relations means here if you have 2 or more objects. This is when I have taken for a single object. Ball is a single object, 7 is a single object. But if you have more than one object, that is either 2 or more than 2 objects, then how can you take, for example, here is that John and Mary are 2 objects, and there is a relation called married. Now John married Mary. Okay, what you can pronounce here as John married Mary. So married is what? A relation which exists between John and Mary. Mary and married are different here, okay? Similarly, 3 is larger than 2 is also one statement. So this statement I am representing in this way. What this called as predicates. So what this married are larger than are called as predicates. Because relations are asked to be represented as predicates. But there are some relations which are functions as well. Now you can say here as, for example, I have defined a one function name called plus. Okay, so what I am doing here is I am using this function with the what is that? 2 and 3, which are the values, or we can say as objects. So I am using them. Now the relations I can use also as functions. So plus is just a function. Similarly, here I just used father as a function, okay, which is a relation. Okay, and this is what? An object. So in this way, the relations are to be represented. That means, finally, from this slide, what you can say is that the relation you can exhibit for a single object, the one thing, first point. The second point is that the relation you can exhibit among different objects or multiple objects. And the third thing what you can say are the relations can be of functions as well. So all of this is all about the relations. Now the terms. Okay, so the terms, what this terms refers to? Expression that refers to an object. Okay, because collection of objects, here where it is in this one, larger than is what? Predicate, which is a relation between 3 and 2. Now this 3 and 2 are what? What are those? This 3 and 2 are the values. So as these are values, it means they are objects now. So similarly, you can term this 3 and 2 are called as terms. What this 3 and 2 you can term them as? You can use them as terms. And here, it can be an expression. So for example, if I say you that terms can be represented as in two ways. The first thing you can represent as constant symbol, which is if you are representing any particular name, like I have given example here, table or computer, then it is a constant symbol. But what if I am using them term as what? A function. So I'm using function symbol, like square root of 3 here is what my function symbol. Similarly, plus is a function where I'm using this as function symbols. And you know, functions can, if you are taking functions as a symbol, then functions can be nested. For example, if I have taken a function called as grandfather, now you know grandfather is what? The father of father. So if x is a person, now I'm using this as a variable. Okay, I said you that x, y and what are variables which are used. Now x denotes a particular person. So now if what you can say is that the father of is what? A relation which says that it's a grandfather. So now the grandfather of x is what? The father of x. So you can represent in a nested way as well. Here you have representing father of father, right? So you can represent such functions also. And these terms will contain variables, okay, which I have just now said you that x, y, z are what? The variables. Now atomic sentences. See, in the previous one, in propositional logic also, I said you that propositional logics are of two types, that is atomic sentence and what is that? A complex sentence. So atomic sentence also, what happens here is it just have it doesn't use connectives. So it won't use connectives. And in complex sentence it uses connectives. For example, like now if I take an example here, like if I'm using birds fly. Okay, what is this? Birds fly. So what is the property? Birds is an object and fly is an property here. So how can you mention here fly of birds? So this is my predicate. What is this? A predicate. What is that? Birds fly. So fly is a property. Okay, fly is a property and birds is an object. So I can use just as a single bird only here. So this is one example, birds fly. Now if I use another one like boys are smart. So smart is the property and boy is an what? Object. So I can use smart of boy, right? So if I'm using like this, what is going to happen? I says that as smart is a property, so I'm using as a predicate here and boy is an object. Okay, and for example, like I said, girls are hardworking. Now hardworking is what? The property. Okay, and the girl is an object. So hardworking girl. So we shouldn't pronounce this one. You can say that girls are hardworking. Okay, so all of these are what? Predicates. So this example which I mention here is of just atomic sentences. What are these of examples are? Atomic sentences. Because we just have a we are not using any connectives over here. Connectives, as I said you, right? What are the connectives which are we using here? You can use like what the connectives you can use and, or, right? So you can use and, or, implies, are biconditional. So this connectives we are not using here. If I use connectives between two atomic sentence, then it becomes as complex sentence. Okay, So these are what the examples here. So that's why predicate term 1 of so on term 2. Okay, if you have multiple terms, you can use in that way. For example, here, which is already there, larger than is what a predicate. That means 2 is larger than 3. No, that's why it is false. Okay. Now, what is this here is that in this atomic sentence, you can refer that as I am not using connectives here. So some atomic sentences can be true or some atomic sentence can be false. Okay. We cannot predict that it is true or false. So if you refer this, you can get that Richard and John are the objects. I mean, they are terms. And this father and mother are what? The relation. So Richard fathers married to John's mother. What you can pronounce here as Richard's father married to John's mother. So in this way, you can represent atomic sentences. So this atomic sentence contains multiple objects. So here you can say 2, 3, we have taken multiple objects here, and here we have taken multiple objects here, and the object still it is what? That means nested here we have performed in that sense. Okay. So that's why this is about atomic sentences. Now as I said you, complex sentences. Complex sentences, how it can be? Like for example, now this is what my atomic sentence 1, and this is another atomic sentences 2. Okay. So now what I am doing here is I am connecting this atomic sentence with this atomic sentence by using implication symbol. So what happens here is that how it performs. King John is a sibling of Richard. Implies that, so it means that what happened? Richard is sibling of King John. Okay. So now this complete line is your complex sentence, because I am using what? Connectives here. So which connective I have used is implication symbol. Okay. So here also if you see now, like here negation I am using, here I am using what? And here I am using or, and the example which I mentioned here is this one, S1 and S2, or else S1 biconditional S2. So here connectives are being used over here in complex sentences. So if you go more precisely, then you will get in this way that complex sentence. For example, I said you that here, if you go more precisely, you will come to know that now this is complex. Here I am using negation of brother relation, that means not a brother. And here I am using what? Connectives. What is that? Or I am using, right? And I am using objects. What is that object I am using? Bush. I am using object John. I am using object Richard. And I am using function also here, because I said you that in predicate, okay, in predicate I can also use function. So I use function here, and also I am using property here. So all of these combinations forms as complex sentence. Okay. What it forms as complex sentence. So if you see some examples here, what the example you will get as that Richard's brother is John. I repeat, Richard's brother is John and John's brother is Richard. Okay, because and is there here, right? So what happens here is it will be true, right? Richard as a brother of John, it means that John is brother of Richard. So that's why it becomes true. Now what is the thing here is that Richard is king or John is king. Richard and John are objects and king is what? The property here. I mean that they are predicates here. So there are two predicates. So I have used an connective over here, and this connective forms as a complex sentence. Similarly, if I say here, what is that? If you refer this statement as John is king, okay, John is king, it means that it implies that Richard is not a king. Why I'm using not a king? Because I used negation over here. Negation of king means not a king. So Richard is not a king, John is a king. So if John, what you can write a sentence as, if John is a king, then Richard is not a king. And here, if Richard is king or John is king. And in the first sentence, Richard is brother of John and John is brother of Richard. So in that way, all of these examples are of complex sentences. What are these? Are of complex sentences. And the semantics of first order logic will as like as propositional logic. Okay? So that's why we are not going much more on the semantics part. Instead, we will be discussing on the variables. Okay? Because here, now the term variable I am using. So here, this variable especially will be used in quantifiers. This variables will be used in quantifiers. Okay? I'll be explaining you that how these variables will be used here with examples. But before that, I'll just let you know that when a statement will be true in first order logic. Remember, we have to know that how can you say that the statement is true in first order logic. So the statements or the sentences are true with respect to the model and what you have interpreted from the model. Based on that only the sentences can be true. For example, model. What model contains objects? Okay, model contains objects here. That means the elements are the objects here. And also it contains relations. That means the relations are to connect between two objects, like brother is a relation which connects between two persons. Now, what is the next part? Apart from model, we have to discuss on the interpretation. That means how you interpret that one. For example, if I'm using constant symbol, so such constant symbols, that means you have to interpret correctly. If I'm using constant symbol, then I have to think them as object. If I'm using predicate symbol like brother, father, mother, all are what? Relations. So such predicate symbols if I'm using, then I have to consider them as relation. I have to interpret them as relations. And if I'm using any function symbols, then I should interpret them as functional relations. So if I interpret them well, properly, and if I have defined objects and relations among them well, then I can be able to identify whether the statements gets true or not. But some statements will not be true or false in some case. Okay? Now I said you that atomic sentence, already I said that what I'm using predicate. Predicate means relation. Term 1, term means objects. So when this will be true? When it will be true? For example, the objects which are referring in the term are in the relation referred by the predicate. For example, if I'm using brother of A comma B, that means if the objects A and B are really brother, then the statements will be, then the atomic sentence will be true. That means A and B should behave property of having a relation called brother. Then only I can say that this sentence is true. Now going to the next topic, which is universal quantifier. So before that, I'll give you some examples here. Like initially what we have taken birds fly, we have taken, right? So how I have represented this one? I have represented this one in this way, right? Fly, birds. I have taken this predicates. But for example, if I mention here all birds fly, okay? Or else if I mention here some birds fly. then remember this, these two sentences are completely different. Why? Because for example, fly is a property and birds is this one. So here if I take a Venn diagram, now if this is my bird, now all, if this is my the Venn diagram for bird, so fly means all birds which are there here can fly. But here this is for this one, but if I go for some birds, so this is one Venn diagram and this is another Venn diagram. So what it says that, for example, the first circle represents for birds and the second circle represents the circle for property of flying. So I said some birds fly means this part which I highlighted, this will be the second part. So that's why both are different here. So that is why you cannot term this as the same one. Now how can you represent such statements where I have such kind of information? That means I need to quantify these things. Okay, what I have to do here is I need to quantify these things. So for that reason, what we are doing here is we are using quantifiers. For example, whenever if I uses all such kind of things, then I should use here universal quantifier. Okay, universal quantifier I am using. For this quantifier will be used whenever if I am using sentences such as all or for all, at that time I should use universal quantifier. But if I am using some birds fly, okay, if I am using some birds means not all the birds can fly, I am just taking this assumption, right? So here I used here existential quantifier, which says that there exist are some of them. Okay, what it indicates that there exist are some of them, and here it indicates that for all. This indicates that for all, and this will indicate what it indicates for some values. For some values, okay. So in that way, now how can you represent these things in terms of universal quantifier or existential quantifier? For example, now the same thing if I am using here fly bird, so here if I can write, how can I write here for all x? Now x is what? A variable, okay, and this variable stands for bird. Okay, implies the, what it implies that the birds can fly. So remember how I have taken here is that x is what? A variable which is which is a bird, okay, and which can fly. X is what? A bird and x can fly. And what is this? For all x, that means all birds can fly. Okay, so in that sense you can represent that. So now x is a variable which is used to donate objects. Okay, bird is what? An object. So in order to donate for one object or for multiple objects, you can use in this way. So for all x, okay, what we are using, that you can understand in this way that x is a bird and x can fly, and x is associated with universal quantifier for all x. So what it indicates that all birds can fly or all birds fly. Okay, so in this way you are representing this way by using what? Universal quantifier. Similarly for some birds if I use, so how should I use here? Here I should use what I am using here, bird of x, okay, and I should not use this implication symbol. I have to use always here conjunction, and I am using here fly of x. So that means some birds, so this is existential means exist, some birds are exist that can fly. So it can be at least one. Remember, this existential quantifier means it behaves that at least one, and this for all. So this some birds can fly or some birds fly will take in this way. And the difference if you can find here is that whenever you are taking universal quantifier, so in order to connect between two propositions, between two atomic sentences, you are using implication symbol, and here you are using and symbol. Okay. So similarly, there are various other examples you can have, here I have taken so if you understand this one, universal quantifier means for all. Okay, it allows us to make statements that have certain properties. So what is this? It indicates that for all x, x is a king and x is a person. That means every king is a person. What you can term this you can use this first order logic as every king is a person. Why? Because as you know, x is a king and x is a person, and we are using for all. So for all kings are persons. Okay, and in the same way, I cannot represent this way. Just now I said you that if I have used this part implication, I should not use this part in universal quantifier. Okay, so that's why you have to use in this way only. What is that? Every king is a person. So this is about universal quantifier, and again we have some example. Every man loves his parent. Now how we have taken, see, love is what? A property, and here there are two attributes and there are two objects. What is that? A man and a parent. Okay, so if I just represent, for example, if I written man loves his parent, okay, man loves his parent, I have not mentioned every man. So how can I represent this thing? Loves man and parent. This is for man loves his parent. But when I use every man, means for all x, I have to use for all x such that x is a man, and here x loves parent, x loves his parent. So you can say that every man loves his parent. In this way you are representing. And also just now I said you all birds fly. Same example here I have taken here. So bird is a now x I represent as bird as a variable, and x can also fly. So that means all birds fly. This is another example for universal quantifier. So the same mistake just now which I said is that here we shouldn't use this and symbol. We have to use always this symbol. We shouldn't use this symbol when in universal quantifiers. Okay. Now if I go with existential quantifier, existential means not all. Like I have given you an example here that some birds fly. So if I use here existential quantifier, some birds, means I am using existential quantifier. So here there exists, okay, or you can say at least one object, okay, in that sense you are taking this one, okay. And again if I represent in this way, so what is that? X is a king, okay, and X is a person. If I denote a person, some persons are kings. What you can take as some persons are king. Why? Because not all persons. Some means it indicates at least one also, okay. And if I take second example, what it says is that John sometimes, what is this object? John because I am using existential means not always. Sometimes lives in castle. Lives is in a relation and castle is again an object. Okay? So in that sense, existential quantifier will be used here. And in this way, what happens here is, if you use this part, in existential quantifier, you have to use this only. Okay? You cannot use implication symbol here. So that's why what you can take, some examples are, some students are hardworking. Now, hardworking is what? The property of an object. What is the object? Student. So I am representing as x here, and for some x, what is that? That for some x, for some x, and which x is a student and x is an hardworking. And x is an hardworking. So it shows that some students are hardworking. So here you shouldn't use implication symbol. Again, some birds fly. Just now I said you right. So in some birds fly, I am using this one, this property. So here, this is, in this way you are representing the things which cannot be represented in propositional logic. So that's why I said you that the common mistake which should be avoided here is that you shouldn't use this part. Instead you have to use and symbol, because and symbol is a valid one, is a correct way to take in existential quantifier. Now if I go with the properties of quantifiers, if I say that for every x and for every y, it means that for every y and every x, okay, I can use in this way, or either I can use in this way. And if I take for some value x and for some value y, it can also means that for some value y and for some value x, both are equal, both are same. But when I am using existential and universal quantifier, both are not same. For example, if I take here, for some x, all y's is not the same as for all y's some x. Okay? So that is not the same. For that, an example is there here. If you see here, we have taken two objects, two persons, that is x and y are the two persons. X loves y, one person loves to another person. Now what is that? For every x, for some x, okay, and for all y's, that means there is a person means here it represents for some x who loves. Now loves is a relation, and for all y's, everyone in the world. So that's why I am using universal quantifier. So this is the statement of this part. But if you go with this one, how it will change? Now for all y's, that means everyone in the world, okay, means for all y's, everyone in the world loves are loved by, for some x means at least one person. So if you read out this, both the statements are not same, they are different. That's why this and this are not same. And you can also represent, for example here it is there, like for all x, okay, like for every person, x you can take as a person, right? All persons likes ice cream. Okay, all persons likes ice cream. So the same thing you can represent in this way also. And for example, if I take the second statement that some persons likes broccoli, then I can use the same thing in this way also. Okay, that means you can say that the quantifier you can exhibit in double, that means in another way as well. Okay. Now equality, what is this equality? When the two terms you can say are equal, or you can say that are true. For example, if I take here, definition of siblings, okay, in parent. If I take in a parent, what happens? Here it is. Simple example I am taking here, x and y and x. What happens here is, as x is sibling of y and y is sibling of x, that means what happens, these two terms gives a single given interpretation because they refers to the same object parent. Okay, so siblings x and y, what their relation is what with parent. That means if their parents are same, so you can say that the term 1 is equal to term 2, because what we are interpreting is that these two terms, term 1 and term 2, should refer to the same object. Okay, should refer to the same object. So in that sense. And finally, if I want to represent such as like brothers or siblings, so how can you represent this statement like all brothers are anyhow siblings, right? So that's why I'm using universal quantifiers for all x and y. So x and y are two brothers. Okay, x is a brother of y. It is biconditional, means both should be true. Sibling also should be true, brother also should be true. Then also it becomes valid. It shows that x should be a sibling of y. When you can say the brothers are siblings, that x is a sibling of y and x is a brother of y for all x and y, then you can say that the brothers are siblings. And if you go with this one, next example, one's mother is one's female parent. Now, first we need to consider in this part that one's mother is one's female parent. Now, I representing C as child and I'm representing as mother. Now, M is a mother of child C and M is also a female, because I am concentrating on female parent. So that's why I am using AND operation here. It shows that, what is that? It is a female parent of child C. Okay, and here for what I am using, one's mother. So biconditionally means for all two variables M and C. M stands for mother, C stands for child. So you know, here C is a child, that means child of, what is the relation here? The relation is mother. Okay, and that means the mother of the child is your M value. So that's why it is biconditional, means this should also be correct, this also should be correct. And using this statement, you can say that sibling, you can represent them as in symmetric in nature. Okay, for all x and y, you can take as sibling of x comma y or y comma x, because you can say that x is a sibling of y, or else you can say that y is a sibling of x. So both represent the same thing. That's why sibling term is your symmetric property. So in this way, what happens here is that first order logic will be represented. So in the main thing what we are focusing in this part here is that the limitations like such these statements here, like I have used all boys are smart, or all girls are hardworking, or some mangoes are sweet. This also you can, some means here you need to use existential what is that? Quantifier. Okay, you can use existential quantifier here. So because you are using some here, that's why you have to use in this symbol. But as I'm using all, so you have to use universal quantifier. Here also I should use universal quantifier. Okay, so these things will be overcome by first order logic. So all of these things will be taken in knowledge base. Okay, because I said you that knowledge representation or knowledge base is a collection of sentences. So that collection of sentences can be represented by many logics. So Previously in the last class we discussed propositional logic, and today's in this class we discuss first order logic. The advantage of first order logic over the predicate logic, over the propositional logic, is that in first order logic, apart from the facts, it discuss on the objects, it discuss on the relations, it discuss on the functions. So it covers most of the sentences. So that's why it is preferable over the propositional logic. Okay, with this I complete this today's session. Thank you.